Good evening. Here is the world news from BGI TV Babagagede Imo TV. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. First are the major headlines for the world news. Naira redesign policy. Governors set up committee to interfere with CBN. President of Igbo origin won't end Biafra agitation. BIM/Masop. Cholera outbreak leaves 60 dead in Cross River community. Patients lament as doctors strike over unpaid salaries by Abia governments. 2 shot dead, 2 others injured as gunmen invade APC meeting. 6 kidnapped as gunmen attack Enugu community. Another headline, my son shot by Nigerian policemen during #EndSARS protests. Moving on to the next story, robbers invade Anambra student hostel and rob occupants. On the foreign story, Gabon foreign minister dies of heart attack during meeting. And lastly, Cole wants Manchester United to sign better striker Osimhen. Now the news in detail. The 36 state governors under the aegis of Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF) has constituted saddled with the responsibility of interfacing with the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) on the Naira redesign and withdrawal policy put in place by the Apex Bank. The committee, which is chaired by former governor of CBN and the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, as governors Gùnm Emmanuel of Koibam, Dapo Abiodun of Ogun, Babagana Zulum of Borno, Simon Lalong of Plateau, and Badoru Abubakar of Jigawa State as members. In a communique issued on Saturday at the end of its virtual meeting held with the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, on Thursday night, Chairman of NGF and Secretary State Governor Aminu Tambuwa said that the state governors ought to CBN to consider the peculiarities of states, especially as they pertain to financial inclusion and underserved locations. The governors have also observed that there are huge challenges that remain problematic to Nigerian people. The governor said that while they were not opposed to the objectives of the Naira redesign policy, the Apex Bank should consider the peculiarities of households and states, especially pertaining to financial inclusion and underserved locations. Recall that CBN had in November last year announced to Nigerians that Naira notes of 1,000 Naira, 500 Naira, and 200 Naira denomination will be redesigned into new colors with attendant withdrawal of all notes from circulation from December 15, 2022 to January 31st, 2023, when they will no longer become legal tender. Moving on to the next story. The chief, Raf Onwazurike, led Biafra independence movement and movement for the actualization of sovereign state of Biafra, BIM/Masop, has sent a strong warning to politicians who are in the habit of using the name of Biafra for their political campaigns. The pro-Biafra group warned politicians not to hoodwink unwary people into believing that electing an Igbo president of Nigeria will end Biafra agitations in the East. A statement by the Director of Information/Senior Special Assistant to BIM/Masop on Media and Publicity, Chris Mocha, cautioned those politicians involved in the act to desist from the Igbos and Igbo Southeast destroyed in the course of Biafra, the group said. He added that BIM/Masop has already declared that even Igbo man eventually a mad Nigerian president, such a president could never stop the much awaited emergence of the Republic of Biafra. There is no amount of false hopes by these politicians to woo voters in the name of Biafra that will ever give any one of them a clear lead at the poll. Moving on to the next story. Residents of Ogbubura community in Cross River State are calling on the state's government to come to their aid urgently amid a cholera outbreak that is said to have claimed over 60 lives. According to an increasing rate of mortality across 14 wards, with over 200 infected persons and over 60 deaths recorded. Channels Television report that the community depends on a river as the only source of water for cooking, bathing, washing, drinking, and defecation. The community's traditional ruler, Ohorodo I of Okum Kingdom, Robert who frowned on the epidemic, called on the government to intercede by providing them with portable drinking waters to avoid another outbreak. The major sources of income in Ogugura, one of the 18 local government areas in the state, are fishing and selling of sand from the river for survival. The state government visited the community to sensitize the people on the importance of maintaining proper hygiene and advised the visit with the health care facilities wherever they notice any health challenges. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Janet Ekpeyong, promised to ensure that adequate potable water will be provided by the government as a replacement for the river source. To the next story from Southeast. Patients in public hospitals in Abia have continued to bear the brunt of the ongoing strike by the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) in the states. There was a total compliance with the NMA directive at the Federal Medical Center (FMC) and Abia Specialist and Diagnostic Hospital in Umuahia. The association in Abia had on December 9th declared a strike, but on January 10th declared the strike total and indefinite. The body announced the strike because of unpaid salaries arrears of 25 and 13 months for Abia State University Teaching Hospital and Hospital Management Board workers respectively. A patient, Glory Orji, said that traveled from Aba to FMC to receive prompt medical care, but was met with disappointment as a result of the strike. Health matters are very important and should be treated as such by all concerned. Therefore, I call on the government to do the needful, Mrs. Orji said. Another patient, Fidelis Onoa, said that he resided in Imo and was at the FMC Umuahia for his routine medical check, but lamented that doctors were not attending to patients. Mr. Onoa said the development was worrisome and urged the state government to meet the demands of the doctors because of citizens with health needs. Moving on to the next story. Yet to be identified gunmen have killed 2 persons believed to be members of the All Progressive Congress (APC) in Ebonyi State. The incident reportedly occurred in Ukpuma, Atakata community in the Easy local government area of the state. Daily Post was reliably informed that the APC meeting was going on late Friday in the community when the gunmen stormed the venue and opened fire. The hoodlums, who were said to be 2 in number, reportedly came on a motorcycle and quickly zoomed off after completed their mission. 2 persons were confirmed dead, while 2 others are receiving treatment at the Alex Ekweme Federal University Teaching Hospital, Abakaliki. Efforts to reach the police public relations officer, Chris Anyang, have yet to be held or give any feedback. Still in the southeast, residents of Ikem community in Isiuzo, local government area of Enugu State, decried the rate of kidnapping in the community as 6 persons were abducted in 1 week. The situation has worsened security matters in the area that is yet to settle from the wanton killings by suspected herdsmen at Eha Amufu, a neighboring community. For 3 days running, the masked gunmen laid siege in Ikom Isorotu along Obolo, Afo Nkalabu Road, and drove the villagers into the bush. On Monday, January 16th, 8 masked gunmen attacked 5 young men, including the chairman of Federated Ikem Improvement Union, Enugu branch, Mr. Emeka Odo, aka Asokwa, as they concluded a security meeting in the neighborhood. Asokwa said he was home from Enugu to join other members of the committee to find ways to strengthen the local security ahead of the coming election, so as to ensure that people would exercise their franchise without any hindrance. And to the next story. A Lagos State-based widow, Temitope Oshodi, has narrated how her son, Ridwan Oshodi, was shot during the #EndSARS protest in 2020. In October 2020, young persons across Nigeria trooped to the streets to demand an end to police brutality and to also demand good governance. The protesters were dispersed by hoodlums suspected to be sponsored by the Nigerian government and ruling All Progressive Congress after 2 weeks. According to Punch, Oshodi said life has been unbearable for her since Ridwan was critically injured after being shot by policemen amid the 2020 #EndSARS crisis. She said on October 20, 2020, he was at work when I called him to come back home because I heard that there was a crisis at Lekki. We stay in Ojuelegba Area C Barracks. When I called him, he said he was very busy working on customers' clothes. He said he had a job that he needed to finish and deliver as the customer needed it urgently. He told me that he was able to finish the clothes early enough, he would come home, but if not, he would sleep over at the shop. Later at night, he called me to say that he couldn't finish the work and he would therefore sleep over in his shop. He said he would come home the following morning. As the conversation went, the terrible story hits the mother of Ridwan about the police shooting the son. Moving on to another story. No fewer than 10 female students have been made love with and robbed when armed robbers invaded 6 off-campus student hostel at Ifite, near the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State. According to sources, the hoodlum, numbering about 20, stormed the area about 8 p.m. on Thursday, going from one hostel to another until 5 a.m. on Friday, done with the robbed students of the valuables and make love to some female students. This was barely a few days after hoodlums also killed some security men and a 200-level student of the institution around the area. It was gathered that the hoodlums have been visiting restaurants and bars, robbing students and bar owners at gunpoint between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. on a daily basis. This situation led to an emergency security meeting of the Anambra State Police Command with the management of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, the Student Union Government, and the Commissioner for Homeland Security Affairs. The meeting, which took place at the Vice Chancellor's Conference Hall, was aimed at addressing the recent security breaches in some of the hostels along Ifite. A victim of the incident, who simply identified herself as Nkiru, told journalists that the robbers were heavily armed with guns, axes, and machete, adding that the hoodlums made away with the money, phones, laptops, and other valuables. Moving to the next story as foreign news. Gabon's Foreign Minister Michael Musa Adamu died on Friday after suffering a heart attack while waiting to go into cabinet meeting, the government and a presidential source said. Musa Adamu, 62, a long-standing ally of President Ali Bongo Ondimba, suffered a heart attack and died despite efforts by specialists to revive him, the government said in a brief statement. He sat down in the waiting room just before the start of the cabinet meeting in the presence of some of his government colleagues and began to feel unwell, a source close to the presidential palace told AFP. He was taken to a military hospital and while unconscious but died just after midday. The source, who spoke on condition of anonymity, concluded. Reacting to his death, President Bongo described Musa Adamu on Twitter as a great diplomat, a true statesman. Rest in peace. Finally, on sports. Former Manchester United forward Andy Cole has advised his former club to sign Victor Osimhen. Osimhen is one of the best strikers in the world at the moment. The Nigerian international has scored 12 goals in 14 league appearances for Serie A leaders Napoli this season. Manchester United, as well as Premier League clubs Newcastle United and Arsenal, have been linked with a move for the forward. Cole insisted that the 24-year-old would be an ideal addition to the Manchester United squad. I think Osimhen at Napoli is very good and could be the long-term natural fit, Andy Cole told Betfair. That ends the world news this hour. Before we go, some major headlines. Naira redesign policy. Governor set up committee to interface with CBN. President of Igbo origin wants end Biafra agitation. BIM/Maso. Cholera outbreak leaves 60 dead in Cross River community. We also brought to you patient laments as doctors strike over unpaid salaries by Abia government. Finally, on sports. Cole wants Manchester United to sign Osimhen as the best replacement. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is Babagede Imo TV. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access our broadcast. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. On Instagram, Bagede Imo _22. For advert placement of your goods and services, coverage of events and functions, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen for advert placements only. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rebila Lawal. Have a wonderful weekend.
Oh, na, na, na. If you want to know what's going on in city, or you want to listen to the latest news and gist, no no stress, oh. Just into BGI TV. BGI TV. You're one in a million.